Welcome to the tutorial videos of HongFA into programming. First, let's learn how to create basic roughing path. Load the STL model first. Click on XY view, top view. Turn on the cross cursor. Then the model file is right-click Attribute, add the workpiece coordinate settings. Model properties, panel window, rotation axis. Set the model in 3 views, angle. Click the XY view first, overlooking view, rotation axis selection Z. Then click on the YZ view, top view. Select X for the rotation axis. Finally, click the ZX view, side view. Select Y for the rotation axis. The angle can be entered by itself. Adopt the translation custom input values. Set workpiece coordinates 0. Click XY view first. Select XY coordinates 0. X-axis keep at the top of both ends. Y-axis coordinates are maintained at the center of both ends. Click on the ZX view coordinates. The Z-axis keep enter at both ends too. If the Y-axis and the Z-axis can't be kept at both ends at the same time, the angle of the model can be rotated through the rotating shaft. Create regular stock, block, and a rectangular frustum. Stock right, create stock. Block change the X extension to negative values, X axis, then the ends of the stock shrink inwards. Automatic calculation. OK. Create regular surfaces. Surface right-click, add new surface. Automatic generation of surfaces. Edit the surface window in pop-up number of columns. Number of stacks. Numerical values can be adjusted properly. Inflation distance can also be adjusted properly. The Excel range is limited to the machining length range. It can be adjusted according to processing needs. Automatic calculation. Confirm and exit. If the radius of the surface is not suitable, can stock editing right mouse button, edit, or selected move. Right-click on path in the project view window. Select create path. Point distance. Distance between adjacent sampling points unit is millimeter. Code error tolerance. Maximum allowed deviation from straight line segment for path that segment during point filtering unit is millimeter. Step over. Distance between adjacent rows unit is millimeter. 4-point distance. Smaller value results in finer path, but takes longer calculation time and consumes larger memory. Suggested values are 0.05 to 0.1 for finishing and 0.5 for roughing. For code error tolerance, smaller value results in finer path, but larger NC code file. Suggested values are 0.005 to 0.01 for finishing and 0.05 for roughing. Row spacing. The smaller the distance between rows, the smaller the distance between the path. The smoother the path and the longer the processing time. Rough knife spacing proposal 5 to 10 fine machining spacing. Recommended 0.1 to 0.2. Thickness is distance between the model surface and the tool in 2 axial direction for roughing. Lateral thickness is a distance between the model surface and the tool in a direction perpendicular to 2 axes for roughing. Safe height. Height from origin where the tool can move without colliding with the workpiece. For roughing, values between 3 and 7 are recommended for thickness and lateral thickness. Swing angle is a range of allowed angle deviation of 2 axial direction from the plane perpendicular to x-axis. It's only used for full axis simultaneous motion rotary with surface projection strategy. Recommended range of values is -10 to 10 or -0 to 0. Click on Strategy Specific Settings tab. For surface projection strategy, U direction controls rotation direction. V direction controls machining direction along rotary axis. X axis by default. Click on the OK button to create a roughing path. The path is not yet calculated. Right-click on the path and select Calculate to actually calculate the path. The first layer of roughing path is now completed. For molding stock with thickness less than 10 mm, this path can be directly used. For cylinder stocks, multiple layers with varying thicknesses need to be created. To create multiple layers, create copies of the original path by right-clicking on the path and selecting Copy Path, Insert Before. Only the thickness parameter needs to be changed for the copies. The thickness of each copy should be larger than the path below it. Each copy needs to be recalculated. Copy a copy of the path. Change the margin inside the parameter, and the other parameters do not move. Determine calculate path A rough knife path can be added to the top of the rough knife path as the first layer, which is second layers of coarse knife path. Stock material size allowance is still great. Need to continue copying and stacking rough knife path. You can create it by referring to the previous steps. Rough knife path creation complete. Create 4-axis fine knife path. Path right, click, create 2 path. 4-axis precision cutter path parameters, roughly the same as rough knife. You need to modify parameters: name, path name custom, cutter, selection of taper bore head, line spacing 0.1 to 0.2, thickness, letter thickness 0, other parameters default. Set up precision to path. OK. Path right. Click. Computing path. Fine path can be generated. Single or multiple rough knife path. After precise 2-path generation, path emulation, watch path simulation, machining effect, all paths need activation. Mirror. If desired path, first need mirror path Y, stock Y mirror, model mirror Y, path, stock, model, synchronous mirroring. All path creation has been completed. Save project file, output NC code path file. Save the project file and save it directly on your computer desktop. Activate all rough knife path precision to path. Deactivate activation, output NC code. Finally, all rough knife path deactivate activation alone. Activate precision to path, output NC code. Use Notepad to open NC code to view the output. Thank you for watching this video tutorial of HongFA programming system.